I guess I'm live. That's awesome. Another day where it actually works like it's supposed to. So good evening. This is Lewis Porter Jr. And of course you're watching Transparency Agenda, which I always think it's interesting that I call it Transparency Agenda because I'm pretty transparent anyway, but I don't like to call it Transparency Agenda daily. I like doing it as kind of a daily show. So tonight's, of course, theme, it's being Wednesday. It's a new comic book day. I have new comic books I've checked out and picked up, of course, so we'll see what we're talking about. I actually haven't even read anything. I literally saw a little bit and I said, I'm getting that. Hey, Jason, what's going on? Hey, Steve, what's going on? So literally, hey, Jeff, what's going on? Like I said, I got home. I had a bunch of stuff to do with Lucas, so I've been focused on that. So I really haven't even got into my comic books. And I said, well, what am I going to talk about? And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to talk about this. And, so I decided talking about the relationship between, hey, David, between comics and RPGs and why it isn't better or worse or whatever. So before I get everybody excited and started what I bought today, the receipt over here for my business expenses, since this is a legitimate business expense. Oh, hey, David, what's going on? All right. So something always amazed me that I don't understand this, and maybe it's just because I came maybe at this at a very different time and a very different different point of view. I know a lot of people who do RPGs who don't read comic books, which I think is a really weird kind of like, why would you not read comic books? Comic books are awesome. Why would you not? I read comic books. I can say I got into comic books way before I got into role playing, but I know they both have been tied to each other, just out of the natural connection and type of stores that do it. So it's only makes sense. So I've kind of surprised that more people don't read comic books. And there's not a really big like fantasy section for comic books, which would, I mean, of course, there's Conan and Red Sonja, and those have been around forever, but like there's like more interest in them. And there's some fantasy books, like Doctor Strange is a fantasy book, but there's never been a super big, push for Doctor Strange books. I mean, even during some of the best times that I read it when I was younger, I had the Paul Smith years, which I think are some of the best artistically. Roger Stern writing, Paul Smith doing the art. Those are some of the best stories. And once again, not a lot of people picked them up. And I just didn't get that. I was like, it's fantasy. It's real fantasy. And I always thought if more people read Doctor Strange, there was probably a better chance for it to become more popular. But, what do I know? I mean, Doctor Strange is getting a movie soon. It must be popular enough. So it's one of those weird moments of, how did Doctor Strange get a movie? And Black Panther's still struggling to get a movie. I mean, he's got a movie, but still like, get this movie. Come on, please. It's very weird. I never quite understood that. So with that, this comes in this whole thing. Because to me, as a publisher, hey, Dale, as a publisher, comic books really represent the subscription model to the extreme. The sense of every month, we're going to put out a product, and it's going to update every month, 12 months a year, and depending if we do an annual there. They're going to tell a long story. Some will be short, and they just continue. Their model is, have people become subscribed, be members, get them hooked, and every month keep feeding them. And RPGs kind of do the same thing, but not really, because usually it's about adventures and stuff. You play the adventure X amount of times and then runs, and it might be 1 month might be an adventure, another month might be a source book, and then no one's really kind of done that. I mean, the closest thing that I can remember of a really monthly release, well, now. Also, was Adventure a Week did that. Really did it a week, which I thought was crazy. It should have been monthly. And Monty Cook doing a dungeon a day. And that's why we kind of did our whole thing with Infinite Dungeon, because it was like, releasing something on a schedule that people get to see, just basically trains them to expect an email with the product coming to you. And if they like it, they're going to subscribe and they become fans and da-da-da. Works very much like that. It's a very simple model. The subscription model is a very, very simple business model. That when done effectively is pretty effective. The downside to the subscription model, that is a problem that I know that plagues comic book companies. Well, not as much as anymore, but it did when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s. People subscribe, and then people would leave. The problem is when people, comic books people go to a certain age and they go, "Oh, I'm done with this. I'm going to put this away," and then they got to find new people to do comics. That's why you always see so many young kids young kid comic books focus, because they know, look, it's not rocket science how this works. If you get the kids hooked young, they'll be fans for life. Hey, Randy, what's going on? And if you continue to get them, you can get them on different stuff. I'm a big believer in the 4 genres that exist in comic books. and very much it works for. This is my mindset. This is my opinion. I believe it's just me. Don't listen to anybody else. I said this is my idea. Basically, comic books are broken down to traditional 4-color superheroes, urban military drama, science fiction, and fantasy. Now, of course, there's crossovers among all of them, but those are the 4 main points. And if you're smart, those are the 4 main points you genres you focus on, and from there you focus on this kind of breakdown: male hero, female hero, teen hero, group. And so each one of those books has those 4 things. So if you want to take a good example of that, we'll do. We'll jump around. I'll do Marvel. Actually, I'll do DC. It's easier. Superman, traditional superhero. Man. Wonder Woman, technically traditional superhero, but really you can put her in fantasy. She has a lot of more fantasy stuff, so you can tie it right into that one too. It could be fantasy. Batman, urban crime. Man. Aquaman. You can put Aquaman in fantasy. It falls in fantasy. Iron Man. See, I'm jumping from company. Iron Man, tech, male. Captain America, traditional. Thor, fantasy. If you want to do traditional group, Avengers, you can technically consider Fantastic Four would fall under like technology group. So it's like that. You break it up in those kind of pieces, and that's how you basically set it up. And you can do the same thing for fantasy. There's all different types of fantasy. There is traditional fantasy. There's epic high-level fantasy. There's science fantasy. So you basically kind of break the genre down, and you figure out how to develop out of that. That's one reason, and this is something I think Paizo wasn't the first to do it, but it helps out. Building iconics for your campaign world is good for several different reasons. One, it shows kind of what your ideal character would be in your setting, but most importantly, it builds intellectual property that you can convert to something else. And what Paizo did with theirs, which is initially very, very smart, they did books, digital books initially, but then they did books. And that's a good way to get people interested, because book sales is a skill in itself, and it's kind of separate away from role-playing. And people can be interested in the world you built with Pathfinder and know nothing of the role-playing game. So that's kind of a win. And then there's the other side to it, the comic-related. The comic-related, which, I said, I think should be more people reading this stuff, because there's so many fans of Pathfinder. Why would you not get the fans to read more comic books? Or even, if I was the guys at Paizo, understand what going with Dynamite was probably a good deal for them. It gets a lot of press like that. If I was Paizo, internally, this is how I'd have the main comic book that we do that's out, available. Everybody gets to see it. It's that one. But I'd also have a web version, where specifically the web version would be like the story behind the story. So you're telling this big grandiose story about heroes and villains, but like the bad guy, his story is the online version. And you only make it like an 8-page story. And maybe you release, 1 page a week, 1 page a day, or whatever. You set a time period, and you do that. You release it, bam, bam, bam. So the guy gets to read, so people get to read it, and they come to your site. And maybe it's once a week, maybe 2 pages. You'll do 2 pages a week. Release 1 page on Monday and 1 page on Thursday, and you do that for a month. And people come, oh, what's that? Let me see. And then at the end of the month, you maybe put it together in one full strip or something, or PDF or something, and then you talk about like the process of it. And then you combine when you get all your book done on the regular press. You take all the stuff you built on the hidden side and you add it to it. So you can have the 6 main stories that you guys read, plus another 48-page story that talks about the bad guys, stuff you didn't know. And, in that artwork, another artwork you see there, you can use in other stuff. That's something else that should be done. I'm always surprised when I don't see more people doing that, because really comic book art is really just stock art for the cool things. Look at the DC role-playing game. Hal Mangold put that together. I'm talking about all this stuff, and I've not written a thing down on the topics. I'm just blathering away. Jeez. I guess I can say I'm blathering away. I'll just put comics and we'll go from there. So, like Hal Mangold put together all the stuff they did for the DC role-playing game. And there's tons of beautiful art in that thing. I mean, think about it. If you could get access to all the DC art and whatever you wanted to put in a cute, cool-looking book, I mean, that's awesome. So I think that should be done also with, comic book art. There's so much good comic book art. You can just boom, put it in there, use it. It's just a great way to save money on top of that too. But like, once again, these are my thoughts. This is what I think would work well for Paizo. They're probably not going to listen to me. The topic is not blither blather. The topic is interesting stuff. See, that's the problem, Dale. Everyone thinks that everything has to be this super duper high level stuff. It doesn't have to be super duper high level. It just got to be inventive, because we spend too much time, overlooking the basic stuff. Because, okay, since this ties in kind of the whole thing, IP development. I wasn't impressed with the first rendition of the present comic. Okay, Rain said that would, further releases, the gimmicking wheels. Well, okay, definitely the gimmicky stuff that's comic related. Okay, see, there many people coming in. Hey, Jason. All right, so Randy says he wasn't impressed with the first rendition of the Pathfinder comic enough to invest in the further releases. The gimmicky multiple covers didn't help, which I agree. That is very much a comic book staple now of, I got a cover and we're going to do X amount of, that's the dumb thing. But I get why they do it, because the comic company says, hey, it sells more. That being said, that artwork for covers, that should be stuff in books. That shouldn't even be a question. That should be stuff in books, and you should be putting that out. The other part that I think is kind of smart they do in comics is, well, especially Pathfinder and or even TSR at one point, they put like stats for stuff in there. Like in the comic is a little mini adventure. And okay, they don't need to do a whole map. I think it's way too expensive. But you can do a cool like encounter with one cool character and some stat blocks and some stuff. And maybe you don't do a map, or maybe the map's online only to save some money for them, so they don't have to pay for the printing. Because I think it's ridiculous. And you kind of make it a big circle of traffic, like, oh, if you get the comic and if you play the game, read the back. Okay, you want the map? Go to the website. Boom, boom. Oh, look at this other cool stuff, and just make it a whole like spin you around. You have the comic, go to the website, get the good stuff, come back to here, find some more stuff, and just generate speed and velocity to get people interested. I think it's a good way to do it. I would even do, like I said, I would do the evil stories online. I'm just talking like black and white. The black stories of the evil stuff that you put that online behind the scenes that people don't know about. But you read the comic, you get the main story. So these are some ideas. Jason said Eric Mona said his release of the game sets up point and yeah, I think they have to point to each other. Jason was I think if we are making creative stuff and we're doing stuff, they have to point to each other. You can't have just, oh, I'm doing this game over here and this comic over here and they don't have a relationship. That's just silly. Why would you do that? That's going to only hurt you in the long run. And that's that's going to be something that's not helpful to you as a publisher. Plus, I mean, when you make this stuff, really what you're doing is look, I don't know about anybody else, but anytime I make a new character for like Neo Exodus and I'm doing an iconic, that character is going to show up in a bunch of stuff. You're going to see that picture, the character in artwork, you're going to see a character all over the stuff, because I'm really just creating a look and feel. Paizo does that all the time. Who's another company? Actually, even Games Workshop kind of does that. They built their factions. Each faction looks a certain way, and you see them over and over, and they play you to what faction do you like. The same thing can be done in any game. What empire do you belong to? That's what we did for New Exodus. We have all different empires, and they all have their own symbols, and you can belong to this empire or this empire, or you can be independent. Because those things are iconic that people become interested in and are like, ooh, what's that? I want to play part of that, or I want to be part of that faction, or that faction looks like something I'm interested in. It's all kinds of crazy stuff. Yes, just GW does play that hard, but GW also has a huge IP that has video games and comics and books and movies and animated stuff. See, that's the thing. We build these games and we think they're just tabletop games. They're not just tabletop games. You're building intellectual properties. And a lot of these are subtly amazing properties. Let's go with my personal favorite one, and I got to add this one, Deadlands. Deadlands has everything to be something awesome on TV as an animated, and definitely it's a video game. Let's just, but we're not just collectors. Oh yeah, Jason, don't kid yourself. We're collectors. We're collectors. A lot of people go buy stuff in bundles. I mean, they get excited, like, oh, I got a new book, I gotta get this. People are, we love what we do. We love what we do. We love gaming. And yes, we do collect stuff, because I'm pretty sure right now I can go to your house and you probably have about 6 or 8 character sheets already, aside from people that you haven't played in years, but you still have them because they're important. Whatever that means, important. It's got them. It doesn't mean they're important. You just love that stuff. Come on. See, you're not fooling me. I know that. So, we could be collectors. I mean, I collect old role playing. Like, I have Ravenloft and the original 2 Ravenloft box sets, the Realm of Terror and the Forbidden Lore, right in my bookshelf. I haven't cracked them open in about a year, but they're there. It's crazy. Yes. 60, 80 more. Yes, I understand. But we're all kind of building brands, and I think we need to focus on building brands and definitely in the whole comic book realm, because that's, look. All right, this is what I bought today. Okay, Green Lantern. Let's do some quick, cool stuff. All right, see this piece on top? I gotta show it in both places. Here. That's a piece of art that's gonna wind up in a book somewhere. Want to know why? Because it's too cool not to. I could find some other ones. Oh, here's a cool one. Okay. This one. See? This is going to end up somewhere in some book. Not that. That's a big splash page. Hell, even this one. This one right here. You know, oop, missed that one. These are going to show up if anybody was smart. These would show up in RPGs and other marketing material and stuff like that. You know, marketing material. Cover. It's really an ad, but it's a cover book. You use it over and over. Cover. Oh, I didn't show it over here. Cover. It's an ad. Jeez, DC. Cover. Ad. Now I'm worried. I went to 3 pages. And then here on the other side, cool piece of art. And people are like, well, it's got word bubbles on it. You could take the word bubbles out. It's still got something cool. So, boom. You know, it's just, it's yes, Knights of the Dinner Table is probably the best fantasy, integration of stuff into a game, into the book. I think that we as publishers and creative people need to start doing that also for ourselves. It's something that is really kind of overlooked among the RPG comic book relationships. I mean, let's be honest. Most comic book stores didn't get into role-playing games and gaming and Magic even until I'd say the 80s with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Palladium got that license when it was dirt cheap, which was a great investment for them. They also had Robotech at the same time, and they got into comic book stores. But people didn't know. I don't know anything about Turtles, but I know Turtles are popular. I know it's a comic, so I'll get the game. How difficult could it be? And boom, that's how they started. And we've got to kind of think the same way. What we don't. We sit there and go, oh, I'm just making a game. I'm just going to have it fun. And dude, think about the game you're making. Okay. The game you're making should be able to be translated into many different things. Video games, comic books, like that. How do you do that? If someone came to you right now today and said, hey, I love your game. I want to turn it into a movie. How much more work would you have to do? Do you have to build iconics? Do you got to build, factions, relationships? Do you got to have art for the person? Do you have that stuff? Well, maybe you should have that stuff when you released it. When we did, yes, Jason, I don't mind. And we also talking about TV since I talked about that. I think a lot of people also get mesmerized by the concept of going to TV. Look, here's the only thing I've ever learned that made any kind of sense, and it's genius and proved this guy's much smarter than 90% of the people. George Lucas, when he was first doing Star Wars, was negotiating his rights. And at the time, he says, oh, I want to keep the toy rights. And the company laughed at him like, oh, you can keep the toy rights. They're not going to be worth anything. Well, they thought the movie would be total crap. But he knew different, so whatever. So he kept the toy rights. And with that, he basically made himself into a billionaire by keeping those toy rights. That was probably the most important, influential decision he ever made. And you also should be the same way. You should not be giving people says, okay, you want rights to your thing? I want this. No, you want rights. You want to make your own toys, because here's something that's also just as scary. And now I got to put this in the thing. When Teen Titans, and Justice League was trying to come back, people kept saying, oh, I want this to come back. We want it to come back. The biggest problem they said, and the issue that drove me crazy that I thought was just, Young Justice, not Teen Titans, was that they basically made the cartoons, Justice, with the mindset that they would sell toys. And since so many girls liked the show, they didn't sell as many toys. And I thought that was the weirdest, dumbest thing. It's like, if the show's doing well and you're getting people and you're getting advertisers, why would you not do it? But once again, most of these shows are just basically there to sell toys. See how the IP just keeps going around and around. How many different ways can we break it in so many different ways to make money off of it? And that's all they're trying to do. So you got a situation, you know, didn't they? Didn't yeah? The toy sales are low. It's crazy when you think about it. The toy sales of a cartoon determine the success of the cartoon. What kind of insanity is that? It's why does Alonzo Brown? Why in the world would a small toy affect the sales of a show? But these are all connected. Everything's connected. Everything's important. That's why, once again, I keep pushing that we as publishers, we as creative people, have to basically look at this for ourselves. Yeah. He-Man. I would say He-Man was one of those weird flukes. I don't think He-Man was supposed to be as good as big as it was. Like Thundercats. I think Thundercats was a surprise. I think they were like, oh, it's going to do well. They didn't think it was going to do that well. Robotech, I don't think they thought it was going to do that well. I think Robotech said, oh, we're going to do this well. We're going to transform. We're going to make these 3 series, make them into 1, and see if this works out. And that changed the lives of a lot of people that I know, because I used to rush home from school back in the early 80s to watch Robotech, because I'd never seen anything like that. And Robotech, still today, is pretty impressive. There aren't many cartoons that have that level of quality. Just like the Stone version. Yeah. Once again, why would you not make toys for girls? If girls want toys, make toys. Make toys. If Ray is in the movie, and this is from Randy, but if the main character's in the show, make toys of the main character. It's not flipping. It's insane. It is insane that this is an issue. I don't understand this. I've never quite understood why this always is a problem for the industry. Because, all right, look, we sell to men and women. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. I don't care what your sex is. I don't care. But if you want to give me money, the words I'm going to say to you is thank you. And I love you. But apparently, you got a bunch of guys in marketing, guys who work like me, who determine, we're only going to sell this many toys to boys, and girls don't buy toys. And you're like, are you stupid? Of course girls buy toys. Girls buy things they like. If you're confused about that, look at those I say teeny bopper, but that's such how old I am. Teeny bopper magazines like Teen Beat. Tween girls buy a lot of stuff. When they love it, they buy it in droves. It is like crack to them. And they don't want to take advantage of that, because a lot of times they don't understand the market. They haven't figured out, why can I make a toy that the girl would like? Well, then you go talk to the girls, check them out, show them the stuff, ask them what they'd like. It isn't rocket science. It's not rocket science. And every time people make it sound like, oh my God, it's so complex. This is the same problem I have when people talk about, dealing with black people on TV shows. Oh, it's so complex. What do? We don't know how to write black people. It's like we're from Mars or something. Really? You can't figure out, well, black people are so different. I don't know any black people. I don't know any Martians, but I've done a lot of fantasy, that kind of stuff, and I do it all the time. I don't know a lot of elves, and I've seen to write those okay. So it's just, oh my God. So here we are. It's very much the situation of, how do we stay important? How do we stay creative? So I think, on the other side to this, I forgot. 3D printing, I think, is also going to change this for us for the better. Once the technology is to the perfect point, but we've got to talk about that later. So there we go. More fun stuff. I'm not hailing Luke Cage. We know it's awesome. Wow, I didn't know that. David Oakham just said female DC toys for girls made $1 billion for Warner. I don't know if that's totally true, but I'd be nice if it's true. But I don't know if that's totally true. I can't say it's totally true, but they have made a ton of money for that. Let's not kid anybody. But once again, if you're ever confused, I mean, look, when I first started reading comic books back in the early 80s, I didn't see any girls in stores. Now, woo, damn, 30 years later, I go to a lot of stores that are at least half female, if not even more, a higher percentage female than male. So, and I mean, the industry has changed, at least on my end. I think gaming is still lagging behind in that, but like comic books have now become, equal playing field. People want, equal representation. I'm just like, as long as the character is good, I don't care about. I don't care. As long as it's good is important. Good is important. That's what I care about. Yes, there are a lot of unicorns here. See, this is going so fast, it's hard to read and go through. So, there's some sources. There you go. David put some sources, I guess, from the stuff. Lewis, do you think there's a market for a short series of novels set in a world of superpowered are a thing? A modern said, yes. Jason, I think there's look, there are worlds to write about that I don't understand, and it probably will not make any sense to me and not interesting me at all. That being said, I think there is money to be made in that. I think, look, if Vertigo became popular in the early 80s, sorry, late 80s and early 90s, and developed a group of people who bought comic books that I thought would never come to a comic book store. Look, I'm a traditionalist. Capes, tights, costumes, boom, powers. And the guys that did Vertigo, they had all these like college wannabe kids who thought they were like, oh, I'm very high snooty. I'm reading this book. It's not a comic book, but a graphic novel. Shut up. It's a comic book. What are you talking about? Shut up. So there was a market for them. I wouldn't have seen that market. That wouldn't have been the market I went after. But once again, I'm a traditionalist, so that wouldn't be important to me. But for them, it was important, it was influential, and it made a lot of money. So that's what they did. That's why Vertigo, developed. They wanted to tell more adult stories. Marvel did Epic at the time. Epic was their adult line. It never really did really well, but it was like they tried different stories. They tried a little more adult stories, which is a smart thing to do. Jeff just put, wild cards is being turned into TV. I think, and here's the problem. This sounds even worse coming from me. I think it's a great time to be a creative person. I also think it's the worst time possible in the world to be a creative person, because now the upward spiral is starting to get to that point where, okay, there's going to be a drop soon, because everything now is superheroes. I mean, the CW has four superhero shows on 4 different nights. Okay, that's a lot of superhero shows. That's a lot of superhero shows on a network TV, in a legitimate network, not even a small network, but still legitimate, that people watch. And it's like, I don't know if we are at saturation. That's the sad part, Jason. I don't think we're at saturation. I think saturation doesn't happen until Supergirl was on big TV, then got moved to CW because the market wasn't big enough. Gotham is on Fox, but Fox is still a minor player. In the top, ABC, NBC, CBS, I know they're developing a DC one for, I think it's NBC. If that flops, that tells me just that we've not reached saturation point yet. We're getting close, because when the minor guys are getting picked up and they're being put on every show, every network, yeah, I think so. When 100 Bullets from DC Comics, and I got to write that one down. When 100 Bullets from DC Comics gets picked up by HBO to be put, that's when I know we're at saturation. That's an awesome, awesome, awesome book. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It's a great crime drama. Would do well on HBO. But I think it's one of those things that if you went on HBO with it, it'd be incredible. People would love seeing it. They'd love watching it. And they would probably win some Oscars. Well, maybe not Oscar. Maybe some Emmys. Well, maybe it's different than Emmys. Maybe an Oscar. Maybe. It's that awesome. We could own an Oscar. But it's like, you got to kind of, like I said, we're not at that point, but we're very close. And I think that with Marvel being on Netflix, that has actually helped slow down the saturation, because you got to get on Netflix. You got to get on there. You got to check out there. What is this? David, if you're telling, okay, David just put a link up. See, this is why I see. All right, so here's a little piece of information on the technical side. When I'm trying to look for stuff, it comes up quickly on the phone, so I can look at stuff, but it doesn't come as quick as my thing, so I got to refresh it. Who is he going to be? He's producing with an I star. Who is he going to play in 100 Bullets? Who does he want to play? See, now I'm all excited now. 100 Bullets. Thank you. Well, no, David, read the article. It says he might want to actually act in it. So I'm like, I wonder who did he play? The first person I'm thinking, like, he might be Cole. So I know he can't play Graves, but that's another story itself. So I think once again, once it actually gets to the thing, that's when I know we reach saturation. So I guess we're coming close. This is from August 11, 2015. Well, this has been a while, but they might be still in development. But I'm hoping, dreaming, praying, because that book would be awesome on the screen. Just a thought. All right. It's now 9:30. We are done for today. See, talking about comic books always gets me excited. So exciting, so exciting. So tomorrow will be Thursday. I'm sure we will talk about something fun and interesting and slightly controversial, because it will be Thursday and I'll be ranting about that. That's what happens on Thursdays. So there you go. Of course, as always, I'll do this one. Actually, I'll do the first one. Check out our, no, I got to put it in the link. God I hate when you're not prepared and you start just going off the cuff, and then you got to go back and write all this damn stuff that you're forgetting. So first off, Infinite Dungeon starts in 31st. The 1st of November. So do yourself a favor, swing on by, check it out. The link will be also here. It'll be down here for YouTube and up here for Facebook. Check out the link. Go check it out. That's very important. Infinite Dungeon will be awesome. Jeff Lee's been working very hard on it. So has Michael, and so has Rich Redman. I should say Michael McCarthy, because I'm referring people by their first and last names. So we're going to get that together. I cannot wait to get this out. I really am just hoping this will come out soon. Oh, there's so many things that I'm working on that drive me crazy, but that's one that I'm actually proud of. But I think it's going to be a nice piece that people will appreciate. And you can subscribe relatively. No, Jason, I have not hit my subscriber goal yet on either of the Infinite Dungeon or on YouTube, because God knows God has a good sense of humor with me on YouTube. And with YouTube, you should subscribe. Push the thing there. You can't see it on Facebook, but push the thing right there and subscribe. Subscriptions are important to us. So let's see what we're currently at so we can see, because God knows this thing will go down just to mess with me. Oh, we're back at 190. We went down one, we came back. So 195 subscribers. We're 5 away. 5 away from 200. This is going on weeks now. This is hilarious. Okay, maybe not. All right. I got to get out of here, finish this up, and do some work, and then go to sleep. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow.